Alright, what's up? This is going to be me doing a Brony reading, Chapter 2. In case you found this video, this is a continuation from the previous Brony reading I did. The link to that video will be in the description below. And I hope you guys enjoy Chapter 2, which is... Hold up a sec, trying to bring it up. Chapter 2, Pride and Peaches. Get ready. Alright, so, here we go. Get out of my way. The great and powerful Trixie has not even the smallest obligation to obey the commands of a... Yuck! Wandering in the snow for close to an hour had momentarily caused Applejack to entirely lose track of her objectives. However, the warm embrace of Trixie's bathwater had brought some semblance of clarity to the still groggy farm pony. My brother's still out there in the cold somewhere, and Apple Bumpkin, Apple Cider, Apple Cinnamon, and Granny Rose are in trouble. Before I continue, you see, the Apple family is mostly named after, I don't know why, apples, and apple-related treats. Then again, it makes sense, in an odd way. Anyway, let's continue. This blizzard is probably burying golden orchards as we speak. I can't be wallowing around in the bath at a time like this. Trixie is still unclear on how freezing to death in the snow will help any pony at all. Now get back in the bath and blah! You're gonna find out why she's doing that noise in a sec. Trixie was smaller than Applejack, not as well nourished, and not as accustomed to manual labor. As such, the physical altercation between the two was proving to be a little one-sided. Trixie attempted to stop Applejack from getting out of the bath. Applejack plowed through Trixie. Trixie attempted to halt Applejack's advance. Applejack plowed through Trixie again. Trixie latched on to Applejack's rear hooves. Applejack plowed on, dragging Trixie with her on an unstoppable advance towards the small half-moon exit hatch to the caravan that she had come through. You're still soaking wet. If you step out that door, you will freeze instantly, Trixie yelled, still lying prone and latched on Applejack's ankles like a limpet. This statement, to Trixie's surprise, actually managed to halt the rambunctious orange mare. Aha! Wait, whoops. I thought it was Applejack speaking. Aha! Trixie leapt to her hooves and puffed out her chest. So you have decided to heed Trixie's words of wisdom. There may just be hope for you yet. Now get back in the bath before the great and powerful Trixie unleashes her fearsome magic. Trixie did her best to sound intimidating, despite being desperately short of breath after the brief struggle. That was a very short time, Trixie. I understand that you're not as strong as Applejack, but how are you out of breath? No, I'm just kidding. This is a good story either way. I don't care. Back to the story. Applejack glanced around the inside of the small mobile hovel. I think that's how it's pronounced. She reached out for Trixie's cloak, hanging on a peg on the wall. Oh no, don't you dare! Applejack began wiping herself dry with the dusty purple cape. Good for you. Anyways, back to the story. I have to go help the ponies I care about. Thank you kindly for your kindness, but I've got to be going now. You will do no such thing. You brought this on yourself. Now steel your heart as Trixie unleashes the full force of her limitless magic potential. Trixie leapt forward with a cry, snatching the cloak from Applejack telekinetically and holding it out of reach. Despair your arrogance, Earth Pony. Applejack narrowed her eyes. What's your idea of full force? Well, if you think... Wait, whoops. Made a mistake. Applejack narrowed her eyes. That's your idea of full force? Well, if you think that's going to stop me from helping my brother, then you've got another thing coming. Twilight says unicorns gotta concentrate to use magic, so if I give you a good shaking, I reckon you'll drop that towel lickety-split. It's not a towel, and Trixie thinks you will have difficulty shaking her after she hoof-cuffed you to her chest of props. Applejack glanced down. There was a large wooden box sitting next to her on the caravan floor, and her rear hoof was shackled securely to one of its carry handles. She gave an experimental tug. She hadn't noticed the crate of props when looking for something to dry herself off with, but it seemed to be remarkably heavy and secured to the creaky wooden floorboard with bolts and nails. "Now where in the hay did you get a pair of hoof cuffs at a time like this?" Trixie harumphed and sat back on her bed with folded hooves. "What kind of self-respecting magician wouldn't have a pair lying around? Now stop this nonsense and settle down, and then maybe Trixie might consider sharing her dinner with you." Applejack examined her bindings more closely. "These hoof cuffs are made of plastic. I can smash through these in a second." No. Trixie needs those for her stage show and can't afford another pair. Have mercy." The disheveled magician had gone from gloating victory to abject begging in 2 seconds flat. Hold on a sec, I gotta take a drink. Remember, in the last video, I told you that I didn't pour myself and I had a dry throat. I'm still having that. But now I have something. Man, V8 sucks. I probably shouldn't have said that on the video. Oh well. 6 minutes 41 seconds, huh? Well, 43. I mean, yeah, whatever. Anyways, back to the story. Applejack sighed. "Look, great and amazing Trixie." "Powerful," interjected Trixie. "Don't push it. Look, I can't stand idly by while some pony need my help." I think that was maybe a typo there, because it would have made more sense if she said needs. "I know a loner like you might not understand that, but I gotta get back out there no matter how dangerous it is." Applejack had been trying to soften her voice and be reasonable, but she could see that the loner comment had stung Trixie. "I'm sorry, but I simply can't stay. I'll be sure to tell Twilight that you helped me proper next time I see her." There's only one problem that I really see. This is the only problem I see, because the story is so good. She must have checked over all the rest, but missed that. When she said, "I can't stand idly by while some pony need my help," I don't know, it just doesn't sound like Applejack. I mean, she has that southern accent, but she still knows proper English. But anyways. Hello.
Hello. Do you want to play Skylanders?
Not now.
That's not the question.
Huh?
Because if you do, I gotta go to the store and buy batteries. You want me to do that?
Yeah, but later.
No, I have to do it now.
No, I mean play it later.
I still gotta get the batteries.
I know.
So I gotta do that now.
Okay.
Alright, bye.
Bye. Wait, you're headed to the nearby store?
We'll go to the store and buy batteries here.
Oh, okay.
Okay, bye.
Bye. I should really tell him soon that I'm making videos. You see, I'm over at a family friend's house. He takes me over the weekends sometimes, depending on if I've behaved in school and at home. So that's why the setting is kind of quaint, but homely, in a good way, I think. I have no clue what homely means. Please tell me. Just kidding. Back to the story. Okay. "If there is a next time," said the voice of fear in the back of Applejack's mind. She gulped as another gust of wind rattled the old door and whistled through the cracks in the walls. "But Trixie does understand. There's a pony who needs her help standing right in front of her right now." The arrogant blue show pony was having a rare moment of uncharacteristic resolve on her part. She strode forward and looked at the larger mare dead in the eye. "Trixie's father taught her that when you're lost, the dumbest possible thing you can do is go running around in the wilderness, especially at night." "Well, if your brother was were here, would he ask you to go hurtling into certain death for his sake? No, but, do you have any idea where you are now? What direction you should go? Not exactly, but, so you might end up traveling further from your destination for all you know. That's as may be, but... Applejack shrank a little more with each biting question. Where would she even go? Behind the misted panes of glass of the small window in the caravan was nothing but a spinning white oblivion. She'd probably end up circling the caravan a few times and then pass out in the snow. She was already shivering just thinking about the biting wind once more. Trixie can see that you care about these others a whole lot, but sometimes you've got to take care of yourself first. If you would feel terrible if something bad happened to them, then imagine how awful they would feel if you ended up as an apple-flavored popsicle. Trixie paused for a moment, and then blushed deeply at the idea of sampling Applejack's flavor. Okay, after this video, I'm going to check to see if she tagged this as sex as well. In fact, let me do it right now. Tab, click, E. No, just rated teen, which means in general. Well, let's get back to reading. She was still not entirely convinced that she hadn't done something shameful during her brief stint as Ponyville's tyrannical magic-fueled overlord. Applejack failed to notice. She was already beating herself up mentally, putting herself first once in a while. It had only been a week since Applejack had sent a letter to the princess detailing how she learned that exact same lesson, and already she was back to her one pony with the world on her shoulder ways. Dear Princess Celestia, although caring about your friends is great sometimes, we push ourselves too hard and it affects the ponies we care about the most. Okay, that part right there that I just read is her thinking. She's going back to that memory of the week before where she wrote the letter. Anyways, back to the video. Applejack shook off the mocking voice in her head. Oh fine, I guess you're right. Trixie simply will not take no for an answer. The great and powerful Trixie insists that you... Wait, did you say that I'm right? Well, of course I'm right. Trixie is always right. Trixie grinned merrily and began wringing out her soggy cloak into a rusty bucket next to her bed. So are you going to let me out of these cuffs or should I break 'em? Asked Applejack. Just nudge the catch on the side and they come right off, said Trixie, rehanging her cloak on its peg to dry and then diving down and rummaging around under her bed. Limitless magical potential, my right hoof. Another thought that's going on in her head. Back to the story. Applejack had never been a fan of magicians. Magic tricks seemed too close to dishonesty by virtue of its very nature. It just didn't seem right to deceive other ponies and take money for it, even for their own entertainment. If pressed, Applejack might admit to having held a rather stereotypical Earth pony prejudice against unicorns in general. That was before she met Twilight and patched up her rather rocky relationship with Rarity, of course. Farmer ponies tended to look at magic as an easy way out, as lazy, dangerous, or as a Trojan horse of sorts. Help offered by wealthy unicorns in hopes of ensnaring innocent peasants in their debt. It was clear, looking around the inside of Trixie's caravan, that this particular unicorn had not bilked altogether too many bits from her fellow ponies through peddling illusions, however. The wooden shack on wheels that Trixie called home, albeit... Okay, guys, just so you know, this word is spelled A-L-B-E-I-T. I want to know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, because I feel stupid saying albeit. What if it's albeit? So just tell me in the description below, write out a way so that I can sound it out, please, because I'm having a hard time pronouncing that word. I haven't read that word since 6th grade. Wow. And I'm in 9th grade now, so... Anyways, back to the story. Albeit a welcome respite from the storm outside, was a patchwork of different kinds of salvaged wood and scrap metal. The lamp in the corner seemed to have been improvised out of a used can of tomato soup with holes cut in it. The pipe that was serving as a chimney for the ancient stove warming the room was primarily a mishmash of used cans welded together. Even Trixie's bed sported a patchwork quilt that had the feel of something stitched together out of cloth salvaged from other people's refuse. Okay, I honestly don't know the reference. I honestly don't know. I didn't know there was an alternate meaning for refuse. Oh well, let's just go with it. From other people's refuse. Puddles of water surrounded the corroded old bathtub, the aftermath of their brief tussle. The aesthetic of the room seemed to massively undermine Trixie's grandiose demeanor. The far wall featured what appeared to be a shrine of Trixie herself, a smorgasbord of newspaper clippings mentioning her, faded posters of her shows, an empty vase that may have been intended to hold roses thrown by admirers, and a filthy cracked mirror. The cracked mirror thing is a separate thing altogether, not involving the vase, just so you know. Although the presence of such an egotistical display did not
I'm not taking my phone, okay?
Okay.
Alright.
See ya.
And I'm not going to ring the bell. If the bell rings, ignore it.
Okay.
I left the van running. By the time I run back and come back, it should be finished. So it'll turn itself off.
Okay.
Alright.
He's going out to get batteries for the Skylanders game. For some reason, the portal of power had fresh batteries, and the battery juice ran out. I just don't know what went wrong. Classic derpy reference. Anyway, back to the story. The far wall featured... Oh wait, I read that. Well... See, that's what happens when you get interrupted once in a while. Although the presence of such an egotistical display did not surprise Applejack in the least, she was surprised by its frugal nature. Trixie was not poor because she wasted all her money on arrogant self-indulgence. She was simply poor. Okay. Now you may want to take several deep breaths and make sure you're sitting comfortably. Trixie emerged from under her bed, apparently empty hooves. Because this may just give you a heart attack if you're not properly prepared for it. Trixie has been saving the best for last. She's kept something stowed away for just such a special occasion. Behold in amazement! Trixie held out her empty hoof. There's nothing there, replied Applejack flatly. Or is there? Exclaimed Trixie, waggling her eyebrows like a madmare. She twirled elegantly and waved her hooves in a flurry. Finally, after a sudden flick of the wrist, she produced her prize, a single, slightly dented can of tinned peaches. Ta-da! The Pie family gave them to Trixie as a reward for her magnificent performance as a geological agriculture consultant and rock breaker. I'm going to explain that. According to the show where she made her second appearance, she was made a laughingstock ever since that first appearance that she made. There was a point in time where she had to earn money by working on a rock farm. Don't ask. I don't even know where they came up with the idea, but it's kind of funny. And she earned bits for it. I think not a lot. She was probably underpaid, I think. But that's actually, if they gave her a can of peaches according to the show, they must have left that out. But then again, this is a very good story either way, so I'm gonna stop talking and only explain to you things if you don't know or understand what I'm talking about. Okay, back to the story. A can of peaches, In syrup, nodded Trixie, leaning close to Applejack, clearly expecting her guest to be excited as she was. Now, Applejack, be polite. Not every pony's as well off as you and gets to eat fresh baked fancies every night. You take that poor girl's hospitality, and you take it with a smile on your face. Applejack caught herself before she let her inner voice start sounding too much like Granny Smith. Gee, that's just swell. I can't thank you enough, Miss Trixie. Please, call me the great and powerful Trixie. All my friends do. Applejack didn't know Trixie well enough to tell if she was joking or not. She suspected that Trixie wasn't. She suspected correctly. Now, Trixie would be pleased. Trixie would not be entirely displeased if you would consider sharing in her delightful dinner and sleeping the night away in her majestic domicile. That'd be just great. The great and powerful Trixie. There's only one teensy problem, though. And what would that be? You've only got one bed in here. Trixie might be willing to admit that she had not thought of that yet. Trixie had not considered altogether too many possible problems surrounding the act of inviting a friend of her biggest rival to stay the night. But the worst and best had only just begun. This was the chapter that made me click like on the story. So, anyways, that's the end of this chapter. I will see you in the next video involving this. And until the next Brony reading, this is to you Bronies out there. Keep calm and Brony on. As soon as I hit this recording button to stop it. And here we go. Bam.